Alrighty guys, I'm going to show you what is in your mini beginner henna kit today. So here is our little tin. It's a hand-drawn tin, so that way you can keep it and reuse it later on. Put some cookies in it, give it to a friend. We have our henna cones. So these are empty, and these are what you'll put your henna paste in. I have solid ones, and I also have 2 clear ones in here because sometimes people like to actually see the henna going in the cone and going out of the cone. It's a little easier to know how much is left if you're like super stingy like I am and like to make sure you use every little bit. We have our carrot bag. This is what you will put your mixed paste in. And then when you do want to apply henna, there's a cute little alcohol swab in here just to make sure the skin is clean. And then this is also just like another little cleansing pad in case you get too much alcohol and it's too wet of a surface. And then we have a little packet of coconut oil that is for aftercare. And then we have our sugar and oil blend, which I will be changing the packaging on this and making sure it does not crystallize in the future. Otherwise, the whole recipe is on the website. This is just regular table sugar, so you can just go grab a packet at a coffee shop or the store. And then some essential oil mixed in it. If you already have essential oils, awesome, just put a couple more drops in, and that's all you need. And then here we have my mixed Raja henna powder blend. So this is 2 different powders mixed together. One is stringy and one is creamy, and that way you get the perfect blend of draping lines as well as dots sticking to the skin. It's really awesome for just regular appointments. It can even be used for bridal work. It's what I use for bridal work. Really any purpose you need it for, whether that be bellies or hands or feet or really full body henna designs. Then a couple rubber bands and some extra pins in there, and that is everything that is in your henna kit. These will be on my online shop hopefully soon. That'll either be Etsy or directly from my website. Today I'm going to show you how to mix 100 grams of henna powder together. So this will also be up on my site hopefully soon. This is 100 grams of natural organic henna. It is body art quality. It is my Raja blend, which is again a stringy henna powder and also a sticky henna powder. So it kind of gives that perfect touch of being able to drape lines, as well as have a dot stick and not run off or be nice and sturdy. So what you want to do is grab a nice bowl. I love vintage bowls, so I have this cute one here. You'll want to have your henna powder, which is already pre-measured. Our Raja blend is pre-measured to 100 grams. You'll want to go ahead and plop that in the bowl. And then it doesn't really matter which order you do the rest. I personally like to add liquids and first and then my sugar at the end. So I have 1 ounce of essential oil. You can use up to 2 ounces, but sometimes depending on the type of oil and how high of a grade your oil is, it can cause bleeding within your design if there's too much. So this is lavender essential oil today. And that is about a 1/4 cup, not quite. And then we have some water. This is just regular tap water, not getting too fancy. Some people insist on using pure filtered water, like really nice stuff. It, yes, definitely would help, but water essentially isn't what is going to super degrade your stain. If you leave it out too long or you just aren't making sure to put your paste away, That's what's going to make your paste degrade and go old. Throw that in there, and then I'm going to add in, this is regular table sugar. Don't have to get too fancy, just table sugar from the store. If you're traveling and you're on the go, hit up a coffee shop, grab a couple sugar packets. That works really well with our mini travel kit, especially if you like a different kind of sugar versus table sugar versus maybe raw sugar, or some people use molasses, whatever your preference may be. Sugar and water are really the key to mixing your henna paste to get it to the right consistency. If you don't have the right consistency, then it's either going to be too stringy, or it's not going to be stiff enough to hold the dot. As well as water. So I usually start off with a half a cup of water, just to get this nice mashed potato consistency. Depending on what the weather is like is how you will figure out what your sugar and your water ratio should be. If it's super humid in your climate, then you won't want to add as much water or sugar, because this will eventually thin out as your paste starts to grab in that moisture from the air. So this is pretty good right now. I think that once the dye releases, I will probably thin it out with some water. Might add just a little skosh more. A lot of people wonder how much water and sugar to put in your paste. And this is something as henna artists we can't exactly tell you, especially depending on what the climate is. If you live in Iowa, like me, or the Midwest, you might have to mix your paste up differently every single time you use it, because sometimes it's really cold in the mornings and it's super hot in the afternoons. Sometimes it rains, sometimes it snows. Maybe it's just gonna hail tomorrow. Who really knows? That was totally unintentional of a rhyme. Alrighty, so your henna paste is looking good. Nice mashed potato consistency. So now what you're gonna do is you're gonna go let this sit covered. I usually transfer this into a Tupperware container with a lid. That way I can make sure all the air is locked in tight. Some people use plastic over the top. I just prefer to put it in a container, especially so it doesn't like get tossed off the counter or something. And then you'll want to let it sit for anywhere from 4 to 6 hours at about 70 degrees. And so that is also another thing you'll need to keep an eye on. If your temperature in your house is set at something, or it might be set to automatically go up or down, kind of make sure that is something you're aware of while you're mixing your paste and leaving it for the rest of the day, especially if you leave the house and come back. If your paste sits out too long, henna is a plant. Plants die. It's gonna over dye release, and then that stain won't be effective anymore on the skin. It might stain a little bit, but it won't have potential. So making sure that you really keep an eye on your paste. This paste, fast dye release with water. Some people use lemon juice. That slows down your dye release. So if you want to, have your paste ready to go in a fairly quick time frame, I would definitely recommend water. It can also be more consistent with the weather in your area. Lemon juice tends to cause your paste to become a little bit more runny as well, but it also can effectively make your stain last slightly longer because of the acidity in lemon juice. And that's pretty much all I have for you guys today. Hopefully I'll be making more videos soon. And again, I'm going to have my shop up soon, so you guys can purchase henna cones. These are filled to about 15 to 20 grams of henna. They're already pre-blended. Everything's in there, the essential oils, the sugar, and then the 2 henna powders. The essential oil will vary depending on what you'd like to use. I either have cajeput or lavandula. These labels are thawing out right now. They are waterproof, so these aren't going to come off. And then this is what your stain will look like. So I actually used some older paste even, but I left my stain on for about 7 hours. This is almost a full stain. You can see like on my pinky it's really dark, and on my very tops of my fingertips it's pretty dark. And that is what you are wanting. That is totally the goal, to have a nice dark stain that lasts anywhere from 1 to 2 weeks. It really depends on what you do for your job. If you're washing your hands a lot or scrubbing your hands a lot, then it probably won't last as long. If you guys want any more tips and tricks, you can check those out on my website. It is www.raynaart.co. There will also be a link in the bio for that, and hopefully my shop soon. Thanks again.